some Canadians think that you're just propping up this government. Why do you continue to do so? Why don't you rip up that agreement, say you're not getting this done, and so this agreement does not stand?
Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I'm Fox. Just when you thought that all hope was lost, the hero of our nation swoops in to save the day. No, I'm not talking about Pierre Poilievre. I'm talking about the one person that has been fighting for Canadians every step of the way. Well, taking the odd break to adjust his Rolex. Yes, I'm talking about NDP leader Jagmeet Singh. And yes, this was 100% sarcasm.
Keep this channel growing strong by hitting that like button to help push this out to more viewers, and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of our next episode. If you would like to support the channel, please give us a super thanks by clicking the button right below the video, or buy us a coffee or a pizza via the Buy Us a Coffee link in the description. Now let's get into it.
This is the new average monthly rent in Canada, for the first time surpassing $2,000 according to rentals.ca. The price of gas, it's also climbing right across the country, hitting a 2023 high in some cities. The average today is $1.69 per litre. In Vancouver and Victoria, it tops $2 per litre. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is blaming Justin Trudeau and his government for the affordability crisis. Let's get the NDP's take.
Blaming Justin Trudeau. Who else are you going to blame? I love this media talking point where they say, well, Pierre's blaming Justin Trudeau. What's he going to do? Blame Biden? Blame Putin? Justin Trudeau is the one that's been in power.
Well, and he should be blaming Jagmeet Singh as well, because he's the one who's been propping up Trudeau's government.
Yeah, he's the unofficial coalition of this Liberal government.
Jagmeet Singh is the leader of the new Democratic Party. He is in Nanaimo, British Columbia. Mr. Singh, thanks so much for joining us. You know, I don't have to tell you that the affordability crisis in this country is hitting Canadians on many fronts, from fuel to food, services. But, you know, I want to zero in right now on housing. Your supply and confidence agreement deal with the Liberals is called Delivering for Canadians Now. So how exactly is that deal delivering affordable housing to Canadians right now?
First of all, I want to acknowledge how bad things are. Things are really difficult when it comes to housing. One of the biggest concerns I'm hearing across the country. And what we're doing is, with the deal that we have, we're using our leverage and our power to force this government to build more homes that are affordable quickly. That's what we really need to do. Liberals have had 8 years and they failed to do so. The Conservatives had 10 years before that. They lost 800,000 affordable homes. We need to build more homes that are affordable rapidly, and we're going to use our power to force this government to do that.
I love how he just plays both sides. Well, the Liberals have failed to do this. You've been part of that government.
If they're not doing their job, it's time to get them out of office.
Right. He has been the one that, as he keeps saying, well, you know, we're the ones that force the government. That means that you're basically the only ones that can hold them accountable. And the fact that this has gotten as bad as it has means you haven't done that. You haven't been doing your job.
He has absolutely not been doing his job as the leader of an opposition party.
Well, he hasn't been doing his job as part of this supply and confidence agreement. Like, if I'm him, I would be all over the Liberals on this. And I would be like, listen, get this crap done and get it done now. And I wouldn't be waiting till 2023 to do it. Instead, he's sitting back and saying, oh, well, you know, we got the dental care. And great. Fantastic. That helps such a small amount of people. And right now, the majority of Canadians are hurting, and they're hurting bad.
Is it actually rapidly? I mean, this is needed right now. Do you think that the government is moving fast enough?
Not at all. The Liberal government has really failed on this front. They are very out of touch. The Liberals and Justin Trudeau don't understand how serious this is.
He's out of touch. The guy that wears a Rolex into these communities where people have no money and no food. He's saying that Trudeau's out of touch. Mr. I'm trying to get my second pension, and then I'm probably going to resign from government to go and get a municipal position so I can get a third pension. He's the one saying that Trudeau's out of touch.
Haven't taken enough action. That's why we need to put pressure on them to act.
Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, CMHC, says Canada needs to build 5.8 million new homes, including 2 million rental units by 2030 to tackle housing affordability. Current federal programs and funding will barely make a dent in that supply shortage. So do you regret not pushing for more ambitious funding and targets in your deal with the Liberals?
No, we're going to push for that now. And I want to acknowledge that the federal government has the land, the money, and the power to build more homes. We want to see the federal government actively engaged in building more homes. The Liberals are thinking that the private sector will just do it on its own. That's not going to happen. The Conservatives just want to do more of the same. That's not going to work.
What? Maybe our friend construction cronies can weigh in the comments, but I'm pretty sure the private sector would be chomping at the bit to build homes and make money.
Yeah, if they had the people and the resources and
the
permits
and the permits
and the permits, they'd be all over this. They would be all over this. Like what? You think these developers don't like making money? Don't even. And the fact that, again, he keeps saying, oh, well, you know, the Liberal government. You've been there.
You are the Liberal government, buddy.
And he's sitting there saying, well, you know, the Conservatives didn't do this. Okay, so then you knew. If that's true, then you knew this was a problem right from the beginning, right from 2015. Okay, so let's go with that premise. Then you go get into 2021. You have that supply and confidence agreement. You have some initiatives that you can write in there, but you didn't write in housing. It's so important that you didn't write it in. The problem is Trudeau and Singh are acting like that the housing crisis just fell out of the sky a month ago. And that all of a sudden now it's time to take action. The fact that they haven't done anything and it's gotten as bad as it has, to the point where people are literally screaming about it, that's just government negligence. It's pure and simple. That's what it is. So I hope NDP voters, you're watching this guy, and that by the end of this video, you're not going to be an NDP voter anymore.
We need the federal government to use the land, the power, and the resources that it has to build homes and do it with a wartime effort. Really, every resource available, mobilized to building more homes.
So why not, Mr. Singh, why not amend your agreement with them to include that, to include new targets so that this can be done faster?
Well, we've shown that we're not limited by the agreement. We were able to double the GST rebate 2 years in a row. That was not in the agreement. It was something we proposed last year. We got it done. We got it done again this year, and that put now over 2 years over $1,000 into the pockets of some families.
None of the families that we've talked to.
I don't understand how Jagmeet can answer this question. So the reporter's asking him, if you're in this coalition and you're holding all the cards, why can you not force the Liberals to build these houses? Why have you not built that into your agreement to force them to build these houses? And his response is, well, sometimes we get stuff that we didn't put in our agreement. We we got this double GST rebate for, some families. Okay, $1,000, it's nothing to sneeze at, but it's not going to help people who are paying $3,000 a month for rent.
I'll tell you exactly why. Because if you put that in the agreement, that means if that target's not met, then the NDP has no choice but to pull that supply and confidence agreement because it's in a contract. It essentially automates the removal of the supply and confidence agreement. That's what it does. But he doesn't want to do that. Because then Jagmeet would actually have to be viewed as doing something.
It's because he doesn't actually care enough about housing Canadians. If it was something you cared about so deeply and so strongly and fully believed that Canadians need homes, you would do everything. You would be fighting tooth and nail to get that written down and in your agreement and make sure it gets done. If you don't care, you're not writing it down.
Well, and that's exactly it. But here's the thing. So the NDP is supposed to be the party for the little guy, right? For the working class, for the union people, for the people that don't have a lot of money, right? Allegedly, that's what they're supposed to be. Well, if that was the case, and if it was the case that you allegedly knew that affordable housing was a problem, why were you focused on dental? Answer that one, Jagmeet. People don't have homes, but you want them to have clean teeth.
Well, that's it. You can have, nice clean teeth, but you can't afford food right now. Prices are outrageous and you don't have anywhere to live. But, at least you've got dental care because that's the priority, right?
Well, and what's easier? Building 5.8 million homes or printing more money and handing it out to Canadians? I think we know the answer.
That's something that we were able to achieve without having it expressly in the agreement. The agreement gives us the ability to negotiate and force this government to do more. Housing is one of the priorities that we have, and we want the government to deliver on housing.
Well, a growing number of Canadians blame Justin Trudeau and the Liberals for the rising cost of living. This is something that, you are continually criticized about. You say that, you want the government to do more, but then some Canadians think that you're just propping up this government. Why do you continue to do so? Why don't you rip up that agreement, say you're not getting this done, and so this agreement does not stand?
Why indeed?
Props to the CBC reporter for asking what everyone wants to ask. So I give credit where credit's due. CBC is a bunch of shysters in their state-funded media, but there's obviously one or two people in there that know how to ask a question.
Our goal is to force government to deliver. The agreement lays out a number of things that we're getting this government to do that they wouldn't otherwise do, like dental care. They would love to get out of doing that. If we rip up the agreement, then they won't deliver on dental care. We've got to force them to do that so that people can get their teeth looked after. We want that to happen. In addition, we want this government to deliver on housing. Unlike the Conservatives, whose goal is just to force an election, our goal is to force this government to work for people. And one of the things that need to do right now is to deliver housing. The Liberals have had 8 years and they've shown that they're not doing it unless we're forcing them. And so we're going to force them, use the power that we have to deliver. Frankly, neither the Liberals or the Conservatives can be trusted to do this on their own. The Conservatives had 10 years in power. They lost 800,000 affordable homes. The price of housing went up 60% while they were in power, and now another 60% while the Liberals are in power. That's why we're so crucial. New Democrats are needed to force government to work for the people's benefit.
Hold on there, Jagmeet. Let's take a bit of a dive into this. So here's an overtime representation of a few factors in the real estate market in Canada. We are going to be focused on the solid black line, which is the National Composite House Price Index. Under Harper, the real estate bubble burst as a result of the collapse of the real estate market down in the United States. That happened right here, around 2009. Now, of course there is going to be a strong price correction after the chaos of that event that happened. But even taking that into account, here is the housing price trend line under Harper. It is a steady and modest increase from 2006 to 2015, which is the years that he was leading Canada. Real estate will always increase in value. The trick is to not let that happen too quickly, otherwise you risk a bubble. Now, under Trudeau, here is the trend line for the house price index increases under him. See the difference? Singh is trying to say that the price increased 60% under Trudeau. No. Try 125% and climbing.
Next, let's take a look at the percent of months where the housing price increases were greater than 10%. From 1998 to 2015, only 6% of all those months, which is only 12 months, did housing prices increase by more than 10%, and that includes the bubble before the 2009 crash. Now, look at 2016 to 2022. More than 63%, or 45 of those months, saw a housing price increase of greater than 10%. Finally, look at the average annual percent change in rent from 2004 and 2015 versus 2016 to 2022. So don't even try to compare the management of the housing markets, Jagmeet. You are so far out of your league.
I mean, but some say that you could be forcing them to do that if you did not have this agreement, and this agreement is hampering you. I printed it from March 2022 on your website. Some of the things: a better healthcare system, making life more affordable for people, tackling the climate crisis and creating good paying jobs, and it goes on and on. But, other than dental care, what really can you say you've delivered on this front?
Certainly. 10 paid sick days. That was now the law of the land. We forced the government to do that. 300,000 kids have received dental care coverage, plus have already received it now. Seniors and kids under 18 will receive it by the end of this year. We've also put childcare legislation in force, which ensures that childcare dollars that help millions of families get affordable childcare is permanent, and we prioritize not-for-profit and public spaces. We've achieved a lot, and a lot more that needs to be done. We've changed the definition around affordability to make a better definition when it comes to the affordable homes, so that federal dollars go towards projects that actually deliver affordable homes. We also, for the first time ever, tied funding for incentives for business to jobs. For the first time ever, a tax credit will only be received the full amount if a company creates jobs that have good wages and tied to union jobs as well as apprenticeships. So we've achieved a lot more that needs to be done, particularly with the rising cost of food, the rising cost of groceries, and the rising cost of housing. We forced the Competition Bureau to investigate food prices. They've released recommendations which we're forcing the government to put in place. We've called the CEOs of big grocery stores to committee. We forced them to answer questions. We found that their greed is driving up the cost of food, and we're proposing real solutions. We've done a lot with the power that we have.
I'm sorry, but you've put in dental care.
None of those things that he was rattling off had anything to do with the Canadian housing crisis that we're facing right now.
No, which is priority one. Priority one. People are living in their cars.
People are living under overpasses. People are living in tents in parks. What is going to happen when winter comes?
And that's the thing. These people that are living in their cars and they're living under overpasses, and, some of the people that are moving into tents, these are not your typical homeless person that doesn't have a job. These are working people. And they can't afford a house.
And they can't afford rent, because right now, we see it in our neighborhood. Rent is like twice what our mortgage is. It's insane.
I'm sorry, but this is just absolutely asinine. And now he wants pharmacare, because that's the priority, right? Not housing.
Most provinces do have some form of pharmacare.
Most provinces have some form of dental care as well.
Well, here in Ontario especially, there's the Ontario Trillium program, and it's for people, I believe it's people over 65, and then there's also for, it goes like based on a percentage of your household income. So if your household income is only $30,000 a year, you have a small deductible to pay, and then the rest of the medication it's paid for, yeah. But they don't pay for 100% of all medications. Generally speaking, they only pay for generics, and they won't pay for things like Viagra, because that's a nice to have, not a need to have. You know what I mean? So I don't know what he's talking about. Pharmacare, we have that already.
Well, but again, where's that money going to come from, Jagmeet? Because it wasn't in the budget.
It's going to come from you and me and other middle-class Canadians.
It's going to come from borrowing more. They're going to go over budget. They're going to print more money, drive up inflation, and then Jagmeet's going to turn around and say, Trudeau's driving up the cost of living. Trudeau's not doing enough to address the housing crisis, which your crap that you're putting in this bill is contributing to. Because if your dental program wasn't in here and this other garbage wasn't in there, guess what? The budget wouldn't have been a $45 billion deficit. It probably would have only been a $20 billion deficit. But both of you spend money like it's not yours. And you need to be spending the money like it is yours.
Neither of them have any appreciation for the working class Canadian, or middle class even. They have no idea how hard it is to make a living in this country right now, and they have zero respect for our tax dollars.
Well, that much is obvious.